If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they'd never dare to sit in her chair again. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. My name is Maya, and I own a small hair salon in Atlanta called Heaven's Touch. Everyone says it feels peaceful here, but no one knows the real reason behind that peace. There was a time when my life looked perfect. I was married to Ethan, a man who made me laugh and build my salon with his own hands. He'd tell everyone that I was his queen, and he was proud to build my dream. I had a best friend named Rachel. She was bold, funny, and always around to help. We were inseparable. I trusted her more than anyone. When Ethan started coming home late from work, I believed his excuses. Rachel even told me not to worry, that he was just tired from all the jobs he had taken. I thought she was trying to comfort me. I never imagined she was the reason he stayed out late. One night, Ethan forgot his phone at home. I wasn't snooping, but when it buzzed, Rachel's name flashed on the screen with a red heart. My heart sank. I opened the messages, and what I saw broke me. They were in love. The person I shared my life with and the friend I trusted most had betrayed me. My hands shook as I read every message. I couldn't believe the two people I cared for the most had done this to me. That night, I confronted Ethan. He lied at first, then admitted it all. He said it just happened, that Rachel understood him better. I felt like I was standing in pieces. I asked him to leave. The house that once felt like home became empty, quiet, and cold. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror anymore. Every time I did, I saw a woman I didn't recognize, hurt, broken, and lost. When I returned to the salon, I couldn't work. My hands trembled when I touched people's hair. One night, I stared at the mirrors and realized they were the reason I couldn't heal. I took them all down. I didn't want to see the pain reflected back at me anymore. Slowly, something changed. I learned to style hair by feel. My clients said they'd never felt more beautiful, even without seeing themselves. I told them, sometimes you don't need a mirror to know you're beautiful. Months later, Rachel walked in. She acted like nothing had happened and asked me to do her hair. I smiled and said sure. As I worked, I stayed calm, but inside, I remembered every tear I cried. When she tried to pull out a small mirror, I stopped her. No mirrors here, I said softly. When she left, she passed a window and froze. Her reflection showed uneven colors in her hair. She never came back. Now my salon is full again. People ask why there are no mirrors. I just smile and say, because true beauty isn't what you see, it's what's left after betrayal. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they'd think twice before sitting in her chair. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. My name is Maya. I own a hair salon in Atlanta called Heaven's Touch. People come here not just for haircuts, but for peace. They say there's something different about the place, though they can't explain what it is. The truth is, this salon holds pieces of my past that I can't bring myself to face. A long time ago, my life was full. I had a husband, Ethan, who I thought loved me deeply. He helped me build this salon from the ground up. We dreamed together, laughed together, and promised to grow old side by side. I also had a best friend named Rachel, who was like the sister I never had. She worked with me, shared secrets with me, and stood by me through everything, or so I believed. The day my world fell apart started like any other. Ethan had gone to work early, and I stayed behind to clean. His phone buzzed on the table. When I saw Rachel's name appear with a heart emoji, something inside me froze. I told myself there must be a mistake, but my hands moved before my mind could stop them. What I read shattered me. Messages, photos, words I could never forget. The people I trusted most were betraying me behind my back. When Ethan came home, I couldn't even cry. I showed him the phone, and his face told me everything. No denial, no guilt, just silence. He said he didn't mean for it to happen, that Rachel understood him. I told him to leave. The door closed behind him, and that sound still rings in my ears. Rachel tried to call me, but I never answered. I shut everyone out. After that, I couldn't look in mirrors anymore. Every reflection reminded me of the woman who believed in lies. So one night, I removed every mirror from the salon. It wasn't anger, it was survival. My clients were confused at first, but soon they began to feel something new. Without mirrors, they talked more, smiled more, trusted me more. I learned to work by touch, not by sight. I stopped needing reflections to prove my worth. Months passed, and one rainy day, Rachel walked in. She said she wanted peace and asked me to do her hair. My heart pounded, but I stayed calm. I worked quietly, my hands steady. When she reached for her compact mirror, I said, "No mirrors here." She laughed, thinking I was joking. But when she left and saw her reflection in the window outside, her smile faded. I didn't need to say anything more. Now, heaven's touch is always full. When people ask why there are no mirrors, I simply smile and say, because some reflections don't heal, they only remind you of what broke you. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they'd think twice before asking for a seat. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. My name is Maya. I run a small salon in Atlanta called Heaven's Touch. It's peaceful now, but it wasn't always like this. The story behind this place is one I wish I could forget. Years ago, I thought I had everything I needed, a loving husband named Ethan and a best friend named Rachel. I trusted both of them more than anyone in the world. Rachel wasn't just my friend, she was family. We did everything together. She was confident, funny, and always full of energy. She helped me at the salon, talked to my clients, and kept me company when I worked late. I believed she truly cared about me. When Ethan started spending more time away from home, Rachel told me not to worry. She said men just needed space sometimes. I believed her because I had no reason not to. Looking back, I realize how blind I was. Rachel always found ways to talk about Ethan, how hardworking he was, how lucky I was to have him. I thought she was being kind, but she was testing how much I knew. Sometimes I caught her looking at him a little too long when he stopped by the salon, but I brushed it off. I didn't want to be the jealous type. One afternoon, I went to drop off lunch for Ethan at his job site. He wasn't there, but Rachel's car was parked nearby. I tried calling her, and she didn't answer. I told myself it had to be a coincidence, but deep down, something felt wrong. Still, I convinced myself that Rachel would never hurt me. I was wrong. Things got worse between Ethan and me. He grew distant, stopped talking, and barely looked at me anymore. Rachel said he was probably just tired. Her words used to calm me, but now they started to sound strange, too practiced, too easy. There was a moment when I saw her wearing the same perfume Ethan had once bought for me. When I asked about it, she said she liked the scent and laughed it off. I tried to believe her, but something inside me began to crack. The worst part was that Rachel never looked guilty. She smiled, hugged me, and acted like everything was fine. I kept ignoring the voice in my head that told me something was off. I didn't want to lose either of them. I thought love and friendship could fix anything. But the truth was already waiting for me, hidden in the shadows I refused to see. I didn't know it yet, but both of them were about to destroy everything I had built, including my trust, my peace, and the woman I used to be. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they would understand the pain behind her silence. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. My name is Maya. For years, I believed my life was perfect. I had a loving husband, Ethan, and a best friend, Rachel. They were the two people I trusted most. My days were filled with laughter, hard work, and dreams of building a good future together. I never thought betrayal could come from the same people who said they loved me. One evening changed everything. Ethan had left for work, and I was cleaning the house when I found his phone on the couch. I didn't mean to touch it, but it buzzed nonstop. I glanced at the screen and saw Rachel's name with a red heart beside it. My chest tightened. Something told me not to open it, but I did. The messages cut through me like glass. Words of love, secret plans, photos I wish I'd never seen. It wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding, it was an affair, one that had been going on for months. My hands shook so badly I dropped the phone. The world around me went quiet, like everything had stopped. I felt sick, frozen, and powerless. I waited for Ethan to come home that night. When he walked in, I could barely look at him. I held the phone out to him, and when he saw it, he didn't even try to deny it. He just stood there, silent, with a look I'll never forget. I asked him why. His answer was simple but cruel. He said, "It just happened." Those 3 words broke something inside me. He said Rachel understood him better, that he never planned to hurt me. I couldn't breathe. Everything I had built, every bit of love I gave, meant nothing to him. I told him to leave. He packed his things quietly and walked out. I sat alone in the dark, listening to the sound of the door closing behind him. I didn't cry right away. The shock was too heavy. Later, when the reality sank in, I broke down. The images of them together wouldn't leave my mind. I called Rachel's phone, but she didn't answer. I sent one message, "You took everything." Then I blocked her. That night, I looked into the mirror and didn't recognize myself. My eyes were swollen, my face pale. The woman staring back looked empty. I realized I couldn't stand to see my reflection anymore. It reminded me of my own foolish trust. I smashed the mirror with my hands trembling, and the sound echoed through the house. From that day, mirrors felt like enemies. They didn't show truth, they showed pain. I didn't know it then, but that moment would change everything, including the way I saw myself and the life I would rebuild from the pieces they left behind. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they would understand the quiet strength behind her calm smile. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. After Ethan confessed everything, I felt my world collapse. I thought anger would come first, but instead there was only silence. My body felt heavy, and my heart felt hollow. I didn't shout or cry right away, I just stood there, looking at him like he was a stranger. When he walked out that night, I realized the man I had loved no longer existed. He had been replaced by someone I didn't recognize. The next few days were blurry. I went to work, but I wasn't really there. I smiled at my clients, but inside, I was falling apart. Every little thing reminded me of him, the scent of coffee in the morning, the empty side of the bed, the sound of his favorite songs. My salon, the place that once made me proud, now felt like a cage filled with memories I couldn't escape. Rachel didn't come around after that night. She knew I had found out. I kept waiting for her to call, to explain, to say something that could make it make sense, but she didn't. The silence from both of them was worse than any apology could have been. It made me realize how quickly love can turn into nothing. I tried to move forward, but everything felt wrong. I would pick up a hairbrush and freeze midair. My hands trembled when I held scissors. Some days, I just sat in the salon chair staring at the walls, wishing I could disappear. I felt like a ghost in my own life. One evening, after closing the salon, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I saw a woman with tired eyes, hair undone, and pain written all over her face. That image burned into my mind. I realized I didn't want to see her anymore. I didn't want to look at the version of myself that had been fooled, broken, and left behind. So I took the mirrors down. Every single one. The sound of the hooks coming off the wall was strangely comforting. Without them, the salon felt empty but peaceful. It was like taking a deep breath after holding it in for too long. When clients asked why, I just said I wanted a new look for the place. But really, I was trying to heal. I needed space to breathe without being reminded of what I had lost. The salon became my refuge, a place where I could work quietly and start over. For the first time, I wasn't trying to fix anyone. I wasn't waiting for anyone to come back. I was just trying to find myself again, the woman who didn't need a reflection to know her worth. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they'd understand that some reflections are better left unseen. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. After removing the mirrors, I thought the pain would fade quickly, but healing isn't that simple. Each morning, I opened the salon doors, swept the floors, and tried to keep my mind busy. I didn't decorate the walls where the mirrors used to be. The empty spaces became my comfort, a reminder that I didn't need to see my face to feel present. At first, clients were surprised. Some asked how they would see their hair when I was done. I just told them to trust me. A few hesitated, but most stayed. As strange as it sounds, the missing mirrors made people talk more. They told me stories about their lives, their families, their struggles. Without staring at their own reflections, they focused on how they felt. And I listened, really listened. Something in me began to change. My hands started moving with more purpose. I learned to shape and style hair by touch, not sight. It felt natural, almost peaceful. Every snip of the scissors was like releasing a little bit of my sadness. My work improved, and people began to notice. Word spread that my salon felt different. They said being there made them feel beautiful inside, not just outside. I didn't plan for that. I just wanted to survive. But slowly, the salon became a safe space, not only for my clients, but for me. I no longer hid behind small talk or fake smiles. I spoke softly, worked carefully, and allowed time to pass without forcing myself to forget. There were nights when I still cried. Sometimes I'd close the door, sit in one of the chairs, and stare at the empty wall where a mirror once hung. I'd remember the woman who used to look there, the one who trusted too easily, who loved without limits. I missed her, but I also knew she was gone. A few loyal customers started calling me their mirrorless angel. They said I had a gift for making people feel seen even when they couldn't see themselves. Hearing that gave me strength. Maybe I had lost my reflection, but I found something deeper, clarity. Months went by, and my salon began to thrive again. I wasn't making as much money as before, but I didn't care. What mattered was peace. I smiled more, breathed easier, and for the first time in a long while, I felt proud of myself. The pain was still there, but it didn't control me anymore. Without mirrors, I stopped chasing perfection. I learned to trust my own hands, my own heart, and my own quiet power. I had lost everything once, but in that emptiness, I found myself again. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they would understand that silence can hold more power than words. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. Months passed after I took the mirrors down. The salon slowly started to feel alive again. My regular clients returned, and new faces began to appear. People said there was something peaceful about the space, something different from any other salon they had been to. I didn't explain it, I just welcomed them with a quiet smile and gentle hands. Working without mirrors taught me something important. I started to focus more on people's feelings than their looks. When a client sat in my chair, I could tell how their day had gone just by the way they spoke or sighed. Sometimes, they came in looking broken, and by the time they left, their voices were lighter. It wasn't just about hair anymore, it was about helping people heal, the same way I was trying to heal myself. Each day felt like a step forward. I no longer woke up with the same heavy heart I once had. I didn't think about Ethan and Rachel as much, though their faces still flashed through my mind now and then. Instead of anger, there was distance. I realized they no longer had power over me. Some evenings, after closing, I'd light a candle and sit in the quiet salon. I'd think about how far I'd come from that broken woman who once couldn't face her reflection. The pain was still there, but softer now, like an old scar that didn't hurt anymore. I had learned to live without seeing my face every day. Somehow, that made me feel free. Clients often told me I had a calming energy. They said being here made them forget their troubles for a while. Hearing that gave me strength. I wasn't trying to impress anyone, I just wanted to give people what I once needed, peace. My hands became my new eyes. I could feel the shape of someone's hair and know exactly what needed to be done. My confidence grew again, but this time it came from within, not from what others thought of me. I stopped waiting for apologies that would never come. I didn't need closure from those who hurt me. The best revenge was simply moving forward without bitterness. I learned that forgiveness doesn't always mean letting people back in, it means letting yourself move on without carrying their shadows. The woman I was before is gone. The one who remains doesn't need mirrors to know her worth. She's stronger, quieter, and finally free. And though people still ask why there are no mirrors here, I just smile and say, because I see enough beauty without them. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they would understand that peace sometimes hides a story of pain. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. It was a rainy afternoon when the door to my salon opened, and I saw a face I thought I would never see again. Rachel stood there, her hair wet from the rain, her eyes searching the room like she wasn't sure she belonged. For a second, I froze. My heart started pounding, but my hands stayed steady. She looked nervous, holding her purse close to her chest. She smiled faintly and said she wanted to talk. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her, wondering what could possibly be left to say. Then she said she wanted to get her hair done, just like old times. The words felt strange. Old times were gone, buried under lies and betrayal. But something in me wanted closure, so I nodded. Sure, I said quietly, motioning her to sit. She sat in the same chair she used to work beside years ago. The room was quiet except for the soft sound of rain outside. I began working on her hair, just like I did for every client. She kept glancing at the walls, probably noticing the absence of mirrors. "You still don't use mirrors?" she asked. I replied calmly, "Not anymore." She tried to make small talk, but I stayed quiet. The scissors clicked softly as I worked. Every snip reminded me of the night I found out what she had done. She looked uncomfortable, like she could feel the weight of her own guilt pressing against the silence. After a while, she sighed and said she was sorry. She said it had been a mistake, that she missed me, that she still thought about what we had lost. I listened without looking at her reflection, because there wasn't one. Her apology floated in the air, but I didn't feel the relief I thought I would. It was too late for that. When I finished, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small compact mirror. Before she could open it, I gently placed my hand over hers and said, "No mirrors here." She looked surprised, maybe even embarrassed. "Why?" she asked quietly. I met her eyes and said, "Because not everyone is ready to face what they've done." She didn't say another word. She paid and left quickly. I watched her walk out into the rain, her shoulders hunched, her reflection catching faintly in the salon window outside. For a moment, I felt a mix of sadness and peace. That day, I realized I didn't need revenge or forgiveness. Watching her leave was enough. Some things don't need to be fixed, they just need to end. And in that quiet moment, I finally felt free from everything that once broke me. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they would understand that some wounds don't need to be seen to be felt. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. When Rachel came into my salon that rainy day, I didn't plan revenge. I thought I had moved past the pain, but when I stood behind her, comb in hand, the memories came flooding back. Her laughter, her lies, her betrayal, it all sat there in front of me, pretending nothing had happened. I could feel my heartbeat in my chest, but my face stayed calm. She talked while I worked, trying to sound casual. I could hear the guilt hiding behind her words. Every time she said something about how life turned out, I thought of all the nights I cried because of her. Still, I stayed silent. My scissors moved slowly, carefully. She didn't notice the way my hands trembled for a second before becoming steady again. When I finished trimming her hair, she smiled at her reflection in the window, not realizing she couldn't see the full picture. "You've still got it, Maya," she said softly. I nodded but didn't answer. Then she reached for her small mirror. That's when I stopped her hand gently and said, "We don't use mirrors here." She looked surprised and laughed like I was joking. "Come on, I just want to check," she said. I met her eyes through the reflection in the glass and repeated, "No mirrors here." There was no anger in my voice, just calm truth. She didn't understand what I meant, and maybe she never would. What she didn't realize was that I had already changed her hair slightly. The color was uneven, a blend that looked fine indoors but would appear patchy in natural light. It wasn't cruel, it was a message. I wanted her to see herself the way I once felt, unbalanced, unsure, flawed. Not destroyed, but marked by her own choices. When she left, she smiled and thanked me. I watched her walk to her car, holding her compact mirror. A few moments later, I saw her reflection in the window outside. Her face froze when she noticed the uneven tones. She stared for a long moment, then lowered her head and drove away without looking back. I didn't feel satisfaction or regret. What I felt was peace. I didn't need to yell, cry, or explain. The silence spoke louder than any words could. That day, I learned that revenge doesn't always have to hurt, it can simply reveal the truth in a way the other person can't ignore. After she left, I stood alone in the quiet salon. The rain had stopped, and sunlight touched the walls where the mirrors once hung. For the first time in years, I smiled, not because I'd won, but because I was finally free. If only they knew why mirrors are not allowed in her hair salon, they would understand that beauty isn't always about what you see. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, Don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. Time has passed since that day, and my salon feels different now. It's brighter, quieter, and full of warmth. People come from different parts of town, curious about the place with no mirrors. They ask questions, wondering why someone would open a salon where you can't see yourself. I just smile and tell them, you'll understand when you leave. When I started again, I didn't plan for it to become something special. I only wanted to work in peace and rebuild what I had lost. But somehow, the story of my salon spread. Women came here after heartbreaks, men came after losing jobs, and people came just to sit and talk. Without mirrors, the space felt safe. They didn't worry about how they looked. They focused on how they felt. I've seen people walk in broken and leave smiling. Some cry while I wash their hair. Some tell me their secrets like they've known me forever. I never judge, never interrupt. I just listen and do what I do best. It's strange how, even without mirrors, they say they've never felt more beautiful. Maybe it's because they finally stopped trying to see perfection. I don't talk about Ethan or Rachel anymore. They're part of a past that no longer has control over me. I don't hate them, and I don't wish them harm. I've learned that pain can either make you bitter or make you better. I chose better. Removing the mirrors wasn't just about forgetting them, it was about finding peace within myself. Some days, I still stand near the wall where the biggest mirror used to hang. I can almost see my reflection there, but instead of sadness, I feel calm. The woman I used to be lived for love and approval. The woman standing here now lives for peace and purpose. My salon has become a place of quiet healing. The chairs are always full, and laughter fills the room. People come to get their hair done but leave feeling lighter, like they've let go of something heavy. When they ask again why there are no mirrors, I tell them gently, because you don't need one to see your true beauty. I've learned that reflections can lie. They show what's on the surface but never what's inside. I no longer need to see my face to know who I am. The pain taught me strength, and the silence taught me peace. The mirrors are gone, but I've never seen myself more clearly than I do now.